welcome to another episode of Wedflics. I'm Julia Braime, I'm your host. I'm the editor of UNVEILED magazine, the luxury bridal glossy, and the editor and founder of Brides Up North, the top UK wedding blog for northern couples. Today on the show, we meet a very talented lady who wears two stylish hats in her business. On the one hand, she's Jane of Jane Beadnell Photography, and on the other side, she heads up her stationery business, JB Creatives. Let's get straight to the inspiration and meet her. Okay, so hi Jane, welcome to Wedflics.
Hi, thank you.
So everybody, this is Jane Beadnell. She is a super talented wedding photographer and also a wedding stationer. So she's wearing two hats and she's going to talk to us about both of her businesses today. I have the pleasure of working with Jane a lot for our magazine, for UNVEILED magazine, and also in the UNVEILED network. So we work together on style shoots, which we've just been talking about off camera, planning some exciting stuff for the future. And I love her work, which is, well, both businesses work, which we'll talk about more about styling later in the episode, but I think they're light and airy and romantic, which is what I'm all about. So yeah, I'm a big fan. So Jane, okay, I've rambled enough. So do you want to introduce yourself and your two businesses, which make up your business as one?
Yeah, so I'm Jane, a wedding photographer and wedding stationery designer. I started my business back in 2009 with my first wedding, was actually for a friend, which was a little bit daunting at the time. So my background is like graphic design. That's what I did at uni. So I've always been down the sort of creative route. And my friend asked me if I'd photograph her wedding. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then obviously went into a lot of research and sort of learnt all the stuff I could learn before the day. And then it went from there really. And then obviously friends of hers then said, can you do ours as well? And it just sort of snowballed from there with weddings, and with both the stationery and the photography. So the wedding stationery is all bespoke and handmade, and so some couples might come to me and say, we really like this design you've made, can we have it in a different colour or a different pattern? And obviously that's all, I can do all that. And then some couples want something completely new. So one of my favourite jobs was an origami flower box thing. So it went over to America, which was very exciting in itself, but there were like little blue flowers in a box, and then you opened it and it was the invitation underneath the flower. So it was really almost reminded me of bridesmaids, you know, where they open the
gift
box. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so I can tell from what you're saying that obviously you're just super creative. One of my questions was going to be whether everything you do is bespoke, and you've just answered it now. So that's lovely, because I think for today's chat, really want to kind of drill down into that creative spirit, which I know that is sort of at the forefront and behind everything you do. So when your friend asked you to shoot their wedding, had you ever picked up a camera before? Why would they connect that?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I just skipped that bit, I think. Yes. So I got into photography randomly, actually. My friend moved to Japan, and for my birthday she sent me some flowers, obviously, you know, via, you know, on mail or something. And so I photographed them, and that's kind of how it started. So it's back in, I don't know, like 2004 or something like that, 2005, around that kind of time. So I photographed these flowers because I thought I want them to last. And then that kind of got my passion for it going, really. I'd done bits at university, but only like little bits. It hadn't been like the whole course was about photography. It was just little bits on it. So I had a background understanding of it, but I hadn't really gotten into it. And so that kind of got me into the photography.
Yeah, I think as well, like if you're creative by nature, then, you know, you will play around with these things. So right from the start, you'll be looking at the light. I know you're a stickler for light, and you'll be looking at the composition, and that almost, to a creative person, it almost sort of comes a little bit naturally. I mean, I'm not a photographer at all, but I do know how to compose an image or a page in a magazine to make it look attractive. And that kind of, but that comes with experience, doesn't it? You get better and better, and the more you shoot, the more you can bring that to your future work. So why two sides to the business? Why didn't you decide to specialise just in one?
I think I don't know, because my background was graphic design. I've always loved like fonts, and I suppose the images and the fonts together, that is me really, I think. So yeah, it made sense to me to do the two. I never even thought, all right, I'll just pick one. I just thought, yeah, I want to do both of them. So, and I have done them alongside each other the whole time. So
yeah. Do you find that because you're quite unique in that, you know, like there's a few others who do kind of two things, but yeah, you're quite unique in it, and unique in that you kind of do both really, really well. So you're kind of nailing it on both sides. Because quite often on a style shoot, we might bring some of your stationery in and you'll be photographing, or you might lend stationery and someone else will be photographing, or you'll be photographing someone else's stationery. So you're not precious with it, but so do most of your couples book you for both, or is it a mix?
It's a real mix. So some couples find me through the stationery and then book the photography. Mm-hmm. And then some couples find me the photography and then book the stationery. But a lot of couples have already, booked their photographer and they are just looking for a stationer. And so that's how they find me, or the other way around. So I don't know, I'd say maybe 40% do both. But it's definitely not both, all the way.
That's interesting. I wonder, because you recently just rebranded your stationery side, haven't you?
Yes.
And I think it's really effective rebrand. And I think obviously I will drop your Instagram links later on into this video so everyone can check them out. But do check out Jane's Instagram for both her photography work and her stationery. I think you'll be blown away by both grids. But I think you've moved your stationery on quite a lot now to align it with your photography work more. So I wonder if going forwards, people who appreciate the aesthetic for your photography, because your stationery now is sort of in line with that, I think you might find that they book you for both more going forwards.
I hope so. I think for a while I lost focus on the stationery. So I hadn't rebranded or done a website that reflected the stationery that I was making for, I think it was since 2014 was the last time I touched that website, which was a long time ago. So I thought, with obviously a lockdown, no weddings, right, this is the time to redo it. And the old website was a completely different, it wasn't me at all. It was when I started really with, it was horrible.
It wasn't horrible, but it was of a time. It was definitely of a time. And I think, I think you were almost kind of keeping it secret what you could do with your stationery.
I wasn't proud of it, so I didn't push it. Whereas I think now I am proud of the website. I think it looks a lot better. It's more me, so I'm happy to show people.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous. So with your stationery then, how would you describe your style?
Well, that's difficult.
I think it's easy. I can describe your style. Yeah. But this comes up quite a lot, that I say, how would you describe your style of your work in these chats? And everyone's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I would describe it. But shall I have a go?
If you want. I was going to say it's feminine. It's very feminine. I don't know.
It is. I would say that your style is luxury, feminine, romantic.
Yeah, romantic, definitely.
Sort of it's got the qualities there. So you might use kind of golds and different papers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of creative as well, but in a well finished way.
Yeah. Fonts are a favourite thing as well, and colour, different colour papers and textures. I do putting the textures together as well. So sometimes people will have one style of paper, which is fine, but others will have a few. So it's nice to put different. So I don't like to put varying textures together, regardless of colour, because it doesn't work. So I think textures are a thing as well. Definitely, I like textures.
Yeah, it's kind of like an artisan approach. You can definitely tell the bespoke quality of your work, even from a photograph. But I suppose you're nailing your photos with your stationery because you're a professional photographer, so that kind of helps. But you can sense like the layers of kind of quality, I guess, like the layers that sort of, you'd imagine, say your origami pieces, which I love. If you got one of those through the post, it's like a really special experience for the recipient, isn't it? So they get the box, they like open it, there's might be a bit of tissue and the colour and the gold. It's definitely kind of setting the scene for like the level of what the wedding's going to be like. A little bit of, what's the word, like occasion, like a sense of occasion.
Yeah, well, that is the stationery is the first thing that guests will see, really, so it's nice to like wow them, or give them a bit of a, oh, this is what it's going to be like.
Yeah, a bit of a treat. Stationery is like really important. We've all been kind of hiding in our houses for months without any hope of anything fun, and now, for weddings that are able to go ahead shortly, that's it's like really exciting. So your stationery style fits very well with your photography style too. You can tell that this is kind of your vibe. So would you describe your photography in the same way?
Well, the thing is, I've never been asked to describe the stationery before, so I've never thought about that. But the photography, I feel like I know more about how that feels.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would have said romantic for my photography, and sort of luxury, fine arty, very feminine, light and natural, and timeless. I don't know. I like to keep the images to be sort of really timeless, so that decades to come, people aren't looking at them thinking, "Oof, what was the trend then?" But
what was the brief?
Yeah, I like it just to be like as it were on the day, sort of thing. Just really natural.
Yeah, natural. But you do pose your couples, right?
I do put so for the bride and groom or the couples, I take them away from the guests for a little bit of time, not a ridiculous amount of time, and then I'll put them in a place that looks nice, and either get them to, I mean, usually couples by this point are okay with having the picture taken because they're getting the whole, like, the day is just, whoa, it's exciting, and so they're not really bothered about somebody taking a picture of them because it's their day. But some couples do get a bit nervous, and so I'll pose them very lightly, as in like where to put their hands, which direction to stand in, where to stand and things. But then sometimes I'll give them things to talk about, so they have a focus that isn't me, it's something that they're doing, together. Mm-hmm. They just ignore me essentially, and then I'll get the pictures naturally that way, so they're natural smiles rather than really awkward faces.
Yeah, because I think sometimes in the world of wedding photography, there is a bit of a stigma around, we don't want pose shots, we just want it to be reportage style. There's been a trend towards that sort of thing. But I do think there's a place for some light posed images, because that's where you get those romantic, soft, sort of frame, like keeper shots, really, I guess. And often, on a wedding day, even though it's like the most amazing day of your lives and it's celebrating your love, then there will be it will be a bit more bantery, won't it? Like sort of banter and jokes and fun, rather than kind of taking that lovely kind of romantic moment of sort of cherishing each other, apart from kind of at the end of an aisle, really, I guess, because you kind of get that a bit at the end of the aisle, but it's hard to then capture that properly. So I actually think there is a real place for just like taking a moment with the bride and groom, posing them, getting them to get a bit closer. Otherwise, I think it's a shame to miss that shot and that opportunity to get those sort of images too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the rest of the day is for that, for the reportage style. So do take the couple away from the guests for a short time, to get those images, like the magazine style images, that I hope that's why they book me for. Well, not just for that reason, but one of the reasons why they booked me in the first place, just so they have those images to look back on in decades to come, and the romantic side of it. But then obviously the rest of the day is very much the party and guests and the atmosphere and all the like giggles and tears and laughter and, you know, obviously.
Yeah. You're also good at shooting the details as well, though. So I think maybe that this is your stationery supply side coming through. So with the weddings you submit to us, we definitely see, you know, you've taken time to photograph the flowers and the place settings and, you know, like a lovely shoe or something like that to kind of remember those little bits as well.
So yeah, I like to do those. I think that's maybe where I start as well, going back to the whole flower pictures. So I really enjoy the flowers and the dresses and shoes and stationery things like you said, which I'll find times in the day to do that. So obviously when they're eating, there's a bit of time there where I can take the bouquet and the rings and things like that to take details, like venue details. And then obviously in the bridal prep section, you can get all the dress details and shoe details and all the bits that they've, you know, spent years or months, you know, deciding on. So it's nice to have a bit of a record of that. And
so you're in quite a lucky position in that usually a stationery supplier doesn't get to go to the wedding. So, you know, they don't really get to kind of see the wedding in action. It's all kind of in the build up to it. So do you find that actually going and being at weddings feeds back into your stationery work as well? Does it help you? Or not? Or
I mean, maybe in the fact that I feel like I know weddings more because I've been to a lot of weddings. So I'll see styles and trends and things. So maybe in that sense, it does.
Yeah, maybe it's something you haven't really thought about. I mean, what inspires your stationery? What kind of what do you get inspiration from day to day, or is it your couples, or is it like something you see, or?
It can be a bit of everything. So some couples will come to me and they'll say, "I've got this idea in my head, and can you make something with it?" And then in the meeting thing, we'll go through like ideas, and then by the end of it, we've come out with this idea, and they're like, "Yeah, that's what I had in my head. I just couldn't get it out." So that's one way. But other times, I'll see a font, and I really have to use that font somewhere. I don't know what I can do, so I'm going to make something that uses that font, something like that. I don't know. It just, and then other days it's just paper or colour or the sky.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a real font lover too. Me and my designer Sarah, who works with me on UNVEILED, we're like obsessed with fonts, and we can spend ages sort of texting each other about fonts, which is just bizarre. But when it's bizarre to think of it like that, but when you're actually a font enthusiast and it's like part of your job, it is quite compelling, isn't it? Like, you know, to look at all these, and there's so many amazing fonts available these days, isn't there? And you can tweak them yourself and stuff like that. So it's I understand where you're coming from with that. That can be a good basis for design. And what I find in my magazine work, it's kind of visuals like magazine tear sheets from fashion or interiors, or
interiors are definitely another thing, and like prints and things, because I do a lot of like separately. I do a lot of like wall prints and things like that. So I think maybe that has a bit of an impact on it, maybe. So.
Yeah, I find interiors it's normally a massive inspiration for me, but like less so at the minute. I don't know. Maybe things are kind of a little bit stalled there with what's been going on in the world. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem to be sort of, that world doesn't, for me right now, doesn't seem to be moving as progressively as it usually does. I think we're kind of stuck in the land of sort of grey and terracotta at the minute. And I'm like, come on, let's have the next trend, because I need to get some inspiration from this. So talk us through the process with a couple. Let's talk stationery first. So talk us through a couple who will come to you for stationery. Like, what's the process?
So couples get in touch either via Instagram or via email, and say, you know, we're interested in stationery. So once we've had that initial email little chat, they'll either come to me if they're local, and we'll have an appointment about the style that they're wanting. Sometimes they don't know what they want. They just know that they want me to make the stationery. So they'll look at the samples that I've got, and we'll go through and come out by the end of the meeting with an idea of what I'm going to make for them. but then other couples, I don't meet them at all. It's just via email. So we'll go back and forth with like chats, and then they'll send me colour pictures and, you know, think like, this is the colour that we're having, these are our dresses, so that it's all kind of linked together. So the stationery kind of matches the bridesmaids and things. So once I've got to the point where I know what I'm making for them, I'll then design something and email it to them as a sort of a screenshot, so they can see, right, that's what it's going to look like. And they
so do you actually like put together a physical project, so it's not just kind of on the screen?
So to start with, I put it on, I make the actual invite on the screen, so it's all designed on the computer, and then I will send it to them via email, so they have a screenshot of, you know, this is what it looks like.
Okay.
And then after that, they can make any amends, like, can you know, I don't know, can we change the wording there or whatever. So once they're completely happy, I'll then make the actual sample of their wedding stationery. So it'll be on their paper that they've decided on, their ribbon, all that stuff. So they can see a physical, this is our invite. And then post that out to them. So once they've seen that and they're happy with that, I'll then make all their invites.
Oh, that's great that they get to see an actual physical one, though. I kind of didn't expect that. I thought it would be mainly on the screen, and then you see with the mag, I just get to see it all on the screen, and then it's here in print, and it's really stressful because, you know, you're hoping it's going to print how you saw it on the screen, which is often different, isn't it? So things can look different on a screen to how they look in reality.
Isn't it? It's really flat on the screen, where when you've printed it out, it's got a different look to it because it's got a bit of texture to it, or, you know, the colours of the paper and making it look different. So yeah, definitely it looks different. Yeah, so it's good to test it that way. We have some, so I always know that with my photo shoots, just from years of experience now, that I can kind of tell now because of that experience, but sometimes it can be a surprise, like how they come out on the paper compared to what you thought, and some that you think are going to be your absolute favourite on the screen, it flips, and then one that you were not so sure about, like, comes out really well. So it is interesting. I think that's a really good service that you're providing there, to actually, there's no shocks then, and there's no kind of I think that's a really good way of doing it. And what products are available? Like, what do you kind of usually make as a suite for a couple? So usually first off, it's the save the dates, and then after that, the invitations, and then it seems to be like the menus and place names and order of service all tend to then come at the same time. So when couples know, right, we've got so many guests and these are the guests, I can then, you know, create everything else. So yeah, everything from invites, table plan, place names, menus. You can do it all then, definitely. And what are your sort of favourite materials and colours at the moment to work with? I mean, I think maybe it's because of my new brand. Yeah, that's fine. Like blushes and sort of. Oh, that's a surprise, Jane. Yeah. That is not because of your new brand. So that is not because of Jane's new brand. That's always been Jane's favourite. The blushes and like the pale blues and the pale pastel shades. Yeah. You're definitely a girly girl at heart, for sure. Oh yeah. But so am I. So that's why we get on. Yeah. But and because you're so good, well, you haven't been for a while, but before, when you were attending weddings as a photographer, and then obviously producing the stationery at the moment, like, what sort of, are you seeing any new trends coming through in weddings for next year, like colours or? No, not really, because I think couples, especially with the stationery, when they see stuff that I've already done, they maybe pick it for that reason, and it's already done, if you see what I mean. So yeah. Then so what's popular then? What's kind of the most popular at the minute? At the moment, a lot of vellum for the stationery. That is really popular at the moment. So a lot of those wax seals, they seem to be popular at the moment as well. But again, sort of blushy colours rather than bright colours. It's sort of more muted colours, soft, romantic. But then maybe it's just my style, and that's why I'm getting. Yeah, that's true. I think it could be some of your style, but I think it's interesting that the things you've just mentioned are kind of the things that we were working on our shoots kind of 2 seasons ago. So it's obviously kind of filtering through
the system, because vellum was a new thing a little while ago, and the wax seal thing, I mean, they've been around for ages, but with the vellum, a certain look, kind of like the card and the sort of card and the vellum and the wax seal is definitely a look that we've kind of seen come through. And then there's taupey colours and then neutrals and sort of a bit of a frayed ribbon, I'm guessing, as well.
Lots of frayed edges as well, so rather than straight edges, there's a lot of sort of torn edges at the moment.
Yeah, because that's definitely sort of been sort of two, 3 issues of the mag ago, so kind of a year and a half filtering down. This is what I mean. I think we're ready for some fresh inspo that we need to work on for our digital edit for sure, and see what's up and coming. I was kind of feeling, before the lockdown, I was feeling like pastels coming back, and like brights, really, sort of colours, and, you know, sun colours and that sort of thing. But I don't know whether the mood shifted a bit now, because obviously that was a mood.
Well, yeah, but it might depend on the actual bride as well. So I don't know if that, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it might. Yeah, but you know, Jen, I can't think of individuals. I have to think of the whole collective.
I know.
Like,
but obviously, I don't.
Boys, girls, everybody.
Yeah.
I have to think of the whole industry as one, which is really tough. But you kind of see these pockets of these sort of pockets of style.
Yeah,
you definitely see pockets of style coming through. Okay, so we love working with you on styled shoots. So, but you do a lot of styled shoots. So not just with us, like just in general as well, for your own portfolio. So why do you love a styled shoot? Like, what's it for you that you keep doing them?
I think it's the creativity and time. So on a wedding day, obviously you've got a limited time for each bit, and so, you know, it's you've got more creativity when you've got the styled shoot, because you've got the time to kind of be creative. So, and it's also working with different suppliers, which is really nice. I really like meeting new people that, you know, have been in the industry years, or, you know, quite new to it. So it's quite nice to collaborate with people like that. And again, it's just, well, for the portfolio, like you said, to get some images for inspiration for couples. And
yeah, it's a nice thing, isn't it? Because you spend, like, it's quite an intensive day and it's hard work on a shoot, and you spend the whole day with everybody, and at the end of the day you come away hopefully as friends, and you'll work together in the future, or you never want to see them again, equally. one of the two. But luckily there's not, you know, that never happens. But so yeah, it's kind of a really creative day, isn't it, where you can then have some images to share at the end of it. And you love to travel, right, for your work?
Like Venice. I went to Venice.
Yeah, Venice is an amazing one, and you've done a shoot in Paris that we featured for you as well.
Yeah.
So what's kind of on your hit list for travel?
I'd love to do like Tuscany, weddings in Tuscany. That would be like the dream. But as of yet, haven't. Yeah,
that's interesting. Maybe we can make that happen. Maybe we could do something in Tuscany. I've actually shot in Tuscany, weirdly, a lot. So I've never been to Italy apart from once to Rome before working on Unveiled, and I've been loads to shoot.
Oh, wow.
For the magazine. Yeah, so I feel like I know Italy really well, but only from a work perspective, and I always think, oh, I'd love to come back here, you know, for holidays or whatever.
Yeah.
My favourite place to shoot, because I didn't get to come to Venice, but because of my family issues, basically, my dad being a bit poorly, but it was the results of that shoot were actually absolutely incredible, weren't they? Venice shot at dawn.
It was lovely. It was literally getting up before dawn as well.
I know. I was on the phone.
I know, yeah.
Trying to make sure our model got there by water taxi. I was so stressed. But yeah, trying to like style a shoot from home in the middle of the night was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the results of that were beautiful, and that's one of my favourite results, even though I wasn't there for a destination shoot. It's kind of funny because I was kind of there for all the prep and planning, and then obviously sharing the images afterwards. But that's a real favourite. And then also I did an amazing Iceland shoot with another supplier. Although Ireland would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the creative cogs are definitely turning now. We're ready to go with this. So what do you love most about your job? Which bit is your favourite?
That's really hard, because I like them equally, and for different reasons. I don't know. I couldn't pick one over the other because I think maybe I like the variety. Maybe that's what it is of doing the two. Obviously, stationery is kind of like a week job, whereas the photography is a weekend job. So I'm fully booked all week essentially. Like, sometimes it's, you know, you don't get a minute, but yeah, I couldn't pick. I don't know. I like them all.
Yeah. And what you and is it like with the photography side of things? What's your favourite bit? Is it the bridal prep or the couples portraits, or again, is it a mix?
I think it's the couples portraits. I really like that because, well, obviously that's the reason for the day, but also the details. I really like the details, and I like speeches when you've got reactions. I had one couple who got married, this is years ago now, and the best man basically let out the bag that the groom, when the bride and groom first met, the groom had basically got a driving ban, but he told his wife that he just didn't have a license. And so for however many years, he was like, oh, I don't really want to learn to drive, I'm not bothered. And then obviously when the ban was lifted, I'll learn to drive. And she only found out on the wedding day in the speeches, this is the case. And her face was amazing. Like, her reaction was like, it was great. So things like that, I really like, you know, those.
Yeah,
bits.
I love speeches as well. I don't know if it's because the nature of what I do with words and stuff, but you know, like sometimes you go to a wedding as a +1, because I'm a supplier who doesn't get to go to weddings actually.
Yeah.
Even though I see zillions of them through the blog, I feel like I go to so many weddings. But when I actually get to go to a wedding, whether sometimes you go as a +1 and you don't really know them, but I still absolutely love the speeches because there's just so much fun, and you know, and it's also when you can get really stuck into the prosecco as well, of course. So you know, that's also a high point.
Yeah, definitely. At that point as well, you kind of, I feel like you know more of the people there as well, so you're really kind of part of the wedding really. And so loads of times I've like been like behind my camera, like God, blinking out the tears, because you know it's really emotional. These, you know, you get to know these people and their stories, and you know, so when the speeches are like really quite emotional, I really do like, oh God, need to stop crying,
Yeah,
really
I cry all the time at stuff like in our real weddings because I still upload obviously everything to the blog, because obviously as the editor, even though some of our writers do the work for us, and I cry all the time at stuff that's said in the real weddings. And also often at like a wedding video we get like a little clip. It's really fun. And then the other day there was something went viral where a bride sang her wedding speeches to kind of Disney music, so it sounds absolutely atrocious, but it was just so lovely. I cried my eyes out. My husband came and said, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm just watching this bride I don't know doing her wedding speech and crying. But yeah, I think that's why kind of you love the job though, isn't it? Because you do like you've got to really love weddings to be in this industry.
Definitely
for sure, because you've got to put your heart into it, otherwise it just come out kind of a bit half-hearted really. So what's been your best, this is gonna be a hard question, so what's been your best moment in your career? It can be your proudest one, or it can be like the bit you enjoyed the best, the most, or
oh my word, I don't know. I think being in a magazine is one of them. And obviously I can't remember what my first published piece would have been or where it was, but I can imagine that would have been, you know, a proud moment. Because obviously when you're starting, you have all these photographers that you idolise, like, oh wow, that's amazing, and then you see them all over the place in all the magazines, and that was just a dream for me. So now actually being in magazines and things like that, I feel proud to be in magazines. And
yeah, well, we love having you in the magazine, and your work always looks beautiful. I think you're one of those photographers now whose work is everywhere and other photographers look up to. So yes, you've made it, my friend. You've made it. So okay, so if people are watching this, wedding couples at home, how can they get in touch with you to find out more, either about your stationery or your photography, or since it all fits so seamlessly together, about both things?
Well, Instagram or email really.
So tell us your Instagram handle and I'll drop it here.
So my photography one is Jane Beadnell Photography, and my stationery one is JBC Wedding Stationery. Or my, do you want me to give you website addresses as well?
Yes, please.
So janebeadnellphotography.co.uk or jbcreatives.co.uk.
Lovely.
Both of those, you can contact me through the contact page or again through Instagram or
Great.
Back to that.
Yeah, so head over and check out both of Jane's grids, because she arranges them beautifully, really, really nicely, and it'll give you a real sense of what she's all about and what we've been chatting about. And also then obviously her websites go further than that, and they can show some samples and some galleries, and you can really get to know Jane. But drop her a line, because as you can see, she's lovely to chat to, and get her booked. But thanks, Jane. Thanks for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
And hopefully we'll be back to shooting big weddings soon.
Yes, that would be lovely.